As quilters, we all have our favorite tools, generally because it works for us, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. I'm Leah Louise from Inspired Quilting by Leah Louise, and I want to share with you the rotary blades that I have been using since I first tried it over a year ago. The Fabric Hut rotary blade is absolutely awesome. I love it. It stays sharper than others, and it works great. Now, I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison with my previous favorite, which is the Endurance by Olfa, and it's a good blade. The biggest difference is the longevity isn't quite there with the Endurance, but more importantly is the cost factor. My Fabric Hut blades are so much less expensive. I can easily afford to switch them out more frequently if I had to, but I don't. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm anxious to show you these blades. Now what I want to show you is my preference and why I think it's the best blade you can get. For years, I used the Endurance blade by Olfa, and it's a very good blade, and it worked well for me. And it lasts probably longer than many of the other blades that are on the market because it has the extra, extra protective coating. And I really liked it. And it says it lasts twice as long. And I would agree that that definitely does. But they're expensive. They can be anywhere from $15 to $20 a piece. So the problem with that is you pay a lot of money for this really super sharp blade, but you don't want to change it often because it's really expensive and it costs a lot to switch your blades out. So there we are. So we have a nice blade, and it's smooth and it's nice and new. Here's what I want to talk to you about. A year ago, I did a test run with the Fabric Hut's titanium blades, and you can see it's been well used. And these blades, at the time I first tried them, I was very impressed. It worked great, and it definitely worked better than the other blades I was using. So I'm just going to spread these out so I can get one and put the rest back. Now, these come in a 10-pack, and I have 4, 5, 6 of them left. So I'm using number 7. I mean, in a year, I've used 3 blades. That's really hard for me to believe because I cut a lot. But I do change my blades when they get dull. And I'm telling you, these blades last such a long time. I'm wiping my fingers because when they're packaged in a group like this and they're stacked, you want to have a bit of oil between them so you can easily separate them, but it also keeps the blade from rusting. So I just take a paper towel and rub it over just to remove any oil. It's not oil that's going to affect your fabric. It's not going to leave a residue. You look, you don't really see anything even on the paper towel. It's just going to, keep things nice and tidy and in well working order. So I'm going to just slip my little doodad in. Whoops, do it the right way. I always go from the back side. Slip this guy right through there. And I don't even have to do any of this right here. I just slide this forward. Now both of these are Olfa cutters. And I'll tell you what, let's just do this so you can see which is which. I'm going to cut some fabric with these, and we're going to see as far as the layers of fabric, how they cut and how much they'll cut and how well they hold up. Because for me, I need a nice smooth cut when I'm using a rotary blade and doing multiple layers of fabric. I use lots of fat quarters, and a lot of times what I will do is cut through a lot of layers at one time. Sometimes 8 is very common, and as many as 10 or 12, depending on what I'm working on. And then, of course, there's the denim that I use for rag quilts and the flannel. So I do a lot of cutting, and I'm particular about what I want to use. Now we're going to test out our blades and see what the results are and how well they work. I've got my Fabric Hut titanium blade here, titanium coated blade, and over here I have the Olfa Endurance blade. And like I said, I've used them both and they work great. I just want to see which one can do a better job with multiple layers of fabric. So I have a 1/2 yard of fabric that's double folded, so I have 4 layers of fabric here, and I'm going to cut this in half. Let's see, what do we have here? About there, does that look like half? And I'll go ahead and just use this rotary cutter. There we go. So it's cut in half, and now I'm going to fold each one over. So I have 8 layers. Whoops, let's get these in the right place. I spread out everywhere when I do this, so it's going to be a challenge to keep things where they belong, where I need to have them. Let's kind of put these off to the side. All right, so 8 layers. Let's see how we do. I'm just going to cut a little bit off the edge here. Actually, no, let's go like this. That way I'll have some extra pieces to work with. And I'm not pushing particularly hard. I'm just, regular pressure like I ordinarily would when I'm cutting. Oh, now see, that one didn't cut all the way through. And so that sometimes happens, but look, see, we've got some, well, that was a fold probably in the fabric, maybe. Overall, it looks pretty good. The thing I don't want to see are places where little threads are pulling out. So it was probably a fold in the fabric. That happens. That's not the blade's fault. That's, the fabric being creased. But see here where I'm getting the little threads, and that's going to cause raveling. And when we're sewing, we have a lot of layers of fabric, and we handle our fabric frequently. And we cut them, we sew them, we cut them, we trim them, we cut them, we press them. So the more we handle it, the more it's going to ravel. We don't want it to start raveling at the point when we're cutting it. So that's 8 layers, and we're getting some ravels. Let's see what happens here. There we are. And this is my Fabric Hut blade, and it went all the way through, and it did beautiful. And look at everything is nice and straight and clean, nice clean cuts all the way through. So that's a great representation right there. So we have 8 and 8. I'm going to take one piece folded in half. Oh, that's already folded. So basically what we're going to do is add 2 layers to this. So let me go ahead and I'll fold this so I have 2 layers. So now there'll be 10 layers here. And let's take a piece off the top of this. And so we have our 8 plus 2 gives us 10. We're 10. Let's go to 12. Let's do one more and see what we get here. So there's 12 there, and let me get some pieces here. So this is 10, this makes my 12. What I'm going to do is just take this one off and put it on top of here, simply because that's thinner. Okay, so we have 8, 10, and 12, and we have 8, 10, and 12. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. I'm just going to put these extra strips aside. And we have our, let's get this straight, our Endurance blade right here. Okay, now I did put a little more pressure on it to get through that corner or that fold. And, you can see how we're getting those little edges, those little threads that are pulling. And what's happening is the blade is pushing through, it's dragging the fabric down to the next layer, which is what causes that fraying to occur. And now let me use the Fabri-Cut blade and see how this one goes. And look at that. It looks wonderful. And I'm just now starting to see a little bit on one layer that has a loose thread, but otherwise they're all just in great shape. So for me, I can definitely see the difference with these blades in terms of fabric layers. So I can use a minimal amount of pressure. I don't have to push hard with either of them, but this one doesn't quite go through the same amount of fabric. Now, granted, we may not always be using 12 layers of fabric, but there are going to be times when we use maybe heavier fabrics, and that can have an effect on the blade working because you have those multiple layers to get through of the heavier pieces, and you may need the extra oomph from your blade to work. The other thing is when you're doing your quilt sandwich. So you need to think about how important it is to get through multiple layers of fabric. And for me, it really, really is. That's kind of a critical point to me. Now, the other thing is, while this one is great to use and it's going to do a good job for you, it's expensive. And this is the endurance. This isn't even the everyday, utility Olfa blade. This is the endurance, the super duper, like I said, $15 to $20 blade. And I'm not going to pay for that for frequent use of a blade or for frequent, what do I want to say, replacement of a blade. And in the beginning, that's why I chose the Fabri-Cut blade. And this again reaffirms to me that that was the right decision because it cuts great, it's consistent, I don't get fraying, I get nice smooth cuts, and the price is fantastic. The Fabri-Cut has given us a great deal. So if you quilt a lot, if you sew a lot, if you cut a lot, and you go through blades, this is going to work perfectly. If you use layers and you do rag quilting and you have a lot of quilt sandwiches you need to work through, this is going to be a blade for you. So I do recommend this. This is still my favorite. Even after a year, I don't have any qualms about using it, and I don't have any qualms about recommending it to you. Again, a good blade, no complaints for just average cutting. But if you need some serious cutting and you don't want to have to change your blade frequently, this is the one I think you're going to enjoy the best. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I'm really excited to share this with you. And the discounted link that you need to get the sale price on this is down in the description, so don't miss that. I appreciate y'all being here and watching this, and I always enjoy having you here. It's my pleasure to share my quilting with you and whatever it is I'm working on, and it's such a great joy to me. Thank you for following along, and have a fantastic day.